Hey guys, it's me. I'm back. Oh,
I'm reclining. I'm sorry.
good to see you, family.
Oh, I pushed you. I'm sorry. I feel bad.
All the time. No, she doesn't. Does it all the time. Hope we're doing well. It's good to be back. Janelle missed me yesterday.
You got rest.
There was Kleenex all over the studio from her sobbing.
Yeah.
About me being
and
gone.
Ron, y'all saw us yesterday. We were sobbing.
Yeah, it's difficult. So, anywho, glad to have you with us today. We're going to be talking about a viral news story that you probably saw the video of. I saw the video. Did you see it?
I did, and it was the first thing I thought was, wait, hold up, that's not punching. That was my first reaction.
So even though it's backwards, it made it all the way to the Washington Post. So here's the story. A woman was on an American Airlines flight. She had just finished up her trip for a teaching conference in New Orleans, and she was flying back to Charlotte. And so she leans her seat back, and she's in the second to the last row on the plane. The guy behind her, unbeknownst to her, like the back row in an airplane in coach, you can't recline your seat at all. You can't. You're stuck up against a wall. So if somebody leaning their seat back, you got nothing. You can't go anywhere. She leans her seat back. He asks her while he's eating, "Hey, would you mind to lean your seat forward while I eat?"
No, wait.
She
Just
obliged.
to be fair, she said he asked her in the beginning, even though he did ask her, he asked her with an attitude. So that immediately sets the tone. I'm just saying.
Okay. And so
It doesn't matter.
she obliges, but when he finishes eating, she leans the seat back. And he did not like that, so you can see a video of him. She says punching, and when I think punch, it's like, boom, like I'm going to punch you. And it was more like, bop, bop, bop,
Yeah.
bop, bop, like this on her seat. She's claiming now, "Hey, Melissa, what's up? Myrna's here." Wow, Myrna. Crazy. She's here like early. Deborah's
I
here.
always tell him before we turn the camera on, don't bother Myrna.
She never says that.
Respect her. He doesn't listen.
#liar. So the lady, he starts poking the seat, and she calls the flight attendant. It becomes this huge mess. She takes video of it. They both behaved like giant babies. I mean, it's unbelievable. Although, hey, Sheila, good morning. Callie, hey, friends, how was your trip to Minnesota? It was fantastic. My trip to Minnesota was quite good. I actually connected with some relatives I haven't seen in a couple of them over a decade, and another one I'd actually never met before, my dad's cousin. I'm working on a podcast. It's a long story. I won't get into that now, but you can, and then in the coming months, you'll hear more about that. But Myrna says, "Thank you, Janelle." Myrna, she's not defending you. She's not defending you.
I'm your friend.
Not defending you.
Thank you.
So, obviously, you shouldn't punch somebody's seat. Obviously, if someone wants you to lean forward as a Christian, of course you oblige that. Unless you have some sort of major medical issue. But here's my question. Should Christians recline their seats in an airplane at all? I was on a plane from Cleveland to Minneapolis on Friday and from Minneapolis to Cleveland on Sunday. And it's like a 2-hour flight, a little over 2 hours. I didn't even touch the button. I didn't recline. Not that I'm better than anybody else, but I know there's no room in this airplane. And why would I want to ruin this person's flight behind me by leaning back and giving them no space?
If you
she
don't
loves
lean
it.
back, I wish it went back
When
that far.
we
It's like
started
an inch.
When we started
An
this
inch.
conversation, she was like, "Well, they made it that way, so I have a right to do it. I can do it if I want. I can
did
do
not
whatever
use
I want.
The word right.
I can
didn't
do
say none
whatever
of
I
that.
want."
I said I didn't even realize that was a thing about people not reclining their seats. And when the person in front of me reclines their seat, it doesn't bother me. It's not like I don't feel that restricted. And I don't mind asking people. People next to me, I've asked them, "Does my coat bother you? Are you fine?" So I think we should just encourage dialogue. Ask people, "Are you cool if I push back?" Or, "Do you mind if I do it every 20 minutes so I can stretch out?" It's not that difficult. And
By
I
the
think
way,
we've missed just the art of dialogue. Talk to me.
we'll deal with Janelle's awkward utopia that doesn't exist in a moment. Callie says, "Wow, was it a solo? It was a solo trip for a podcast project I'm working on to interview some family. Very long story, but you'll learn more in the days ahead." Janelle lives in this utopia where people on airplanes that don't know each other communicate. Nobody on the airplane that didn't travel with someone talked to each other. I sat next to a woman on the way there, and I sat next to a man on the way back. We didn't once talk to each other.
I'm not talking about engage in long-term conversation. I'm saying when you're coming into the plane, I've done it. You ask the person, do you mind if I put my bag here? I've had people respond and say, can you just move over a little bit so I can put mine? What is so difficult about that?
Here we go. Nick to the rescue. It's more than an inch on some planes. I've flown to Tokyo.
You even said it's a different thing.
And the person,
when it's international.
talk to the hand.
Thank you.
And the person ahead of me was in my lap nearly. Makes it very difficult to stand to get out of your row.
Right, Nick. You just say something. You say, excuse me, and you talk.
So
it's not that hard.
There's this book that I really love. It's called The Bible.
It's not hard.
Janelle, you should check it out.
Whatever.
Jesus said, so whatever you wish others to do to you, do also for them, for this is the law and the prophets. And it says to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Philippians 2:3 says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself. And isn't it valuing of others to know that I can sit here with my seat up for 2 hours and I can worry about the person behind me more than myself. So I'm not going to recline.
In valuing other people, what
it's been a great time on overtime.
No. In valuing other people, what I do is acknowledge the individual. And I think assuming that 100% of the people that I sit in front of I would be uncomfortable with is lazy. And so I could see after a 3-hour trip, the person in front of me finding out like, it wasn't even that serious. You should have just asked me and it doesn't bother me. Because I would say the same thing. I would have told the person, you could have just asked and you could have reclined. So I think as we engage individuals, instead of making assumptions, we should engage with people and ask them. And you'd be surprised. Team Janelle, yeah, Carrie, let me give you the obvious
retort.
Certain people are not that sensitive.
The obvious retort to that would be, in America today, who would say no?
I've met people that would. They may
Excuse
not say
me,
no.
could I recline my seat? No.
They may not say no. They may say.
They're not going to be honest with you. They don't want you to recline, but they think it's rude.
Betty says you should be able to. I did not know there were seat rules. Thank you, Betty. The seat doesn't go back that far. Thank you. Sandy says, will it still be selfish to ask the person before you recline your seat? Yes, Sandy. He says yes. Because they won't be honest and you love your neighbor and just assume that everybody would be uncomfortable and never recline. That's what Sandy, that's what Brian says.
My first thought should be my neighbor's comfort.
Right, but your first thought should be your first thought should be your neighbor. And so if you are caring for that individual, you would ask the person.
Or just don't worry about it and keep your seat up so you don't bother them.
Okay. Sandy says,
You're worried about yourself.
Okay. Roseanne, good morning. It is a fact that after 9/11, travelers around the world started speaking with each other for the first time in a very long time when they traveled. Now I find that it's being lost again. Most frequent travelers would tell you just fly first class or business. But in the event that cannot happen, Janelle is quite correct. I think that we should just ask. And most people will say it's fine. When we address people, we find that they are very kind and they're appreciative that we're being thoughtful. Roseanne says, far worse than reclining is the guy who grabs your seat because he needs to haul himself up. Oh, yes.
That happened to me. That happened to me on the flight.
That's rude.
You know what I thought, though? But, see, it's that reaction I'm talking about. I felt the guy pulling on my seat to get up just on Sunday. But I had to tell him, I had to coach myself and go, obviously he struggles to stand. He's not doing it to annoy me. So if I'm going to consider him more important than me, I'm not going to worry about me getting my little nap.
Right. Yeah.
But it annoys you.
It is rude and it is annoying.
It's rude.
How you react, I can't help that it's rude.
He can't stand up.
You don't know that. How you react is, I think, where sin comes in. But you can say, man, that is kind of inconsiderate to do that. Donna says, we ride that long in a car ride without reclining our seats. I recline my seat in a car ride.
You're so smart. Donna,
well, that's good. Then don't recline. My only thing is let people be. So I don't like making rules that 7 billion people, because if we're going to call them etiquette, that means all 7 billion people on earth need to do it. And so part of me is just like, if you want to be the kind of person that never reclines, then do it. If you want to be a person that says, well, the way I love my neighbor is by asking each individual.
As long as you know they're not going to be honest with you. As long as you understand that.
I would be honest.
And they'll be annoyed.
So you're assuming they would sin and lie.
Because people want to be polite.
No, that's not true. I have asked people, can I put my coat here? And they would be like, well, can you just move it over so I can put my bag?
People
We're
are not
all
gonna be
trying.
honest with you.
Okay, well, obviously we know what you would do. Carrie says, asking is fine. I've flown a ton and lots of long international flights, 12 to 14 hours. I've asked and told people to stop kicking my seat or taking over my space. Yeah, speak up if something bothers you. Nick says, if you're tall and someone reclines into your space, sometimes you will need to hold the seat in front of you to stand up.
See, Nick understands. And
But I'm
if
sure
you talk-
Nick would say, "Oh, I'm sorry" or something. I mean, you wouldn't you? If you're tall, would you just do that and be like, "Oh man, I'm just tall"? Wouldn't you say, "Oh man, I'm sorry"?
No, you would just do it because you need to.
Wow, people,
Now-
let's encourage talking to people.
Nobody does that. This is
Wow,
not Dominican
dude.
Republic.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
But hey, so how tall is Len?
He's 6'1.5".
6'1". So if someone reclines their seat, it's going to smash his knees. Go ahead, explain that.
Okay.
He should just deal with it.
No, he would say something very nice.
He should tell somebody, please
He would
don't
say-
recline your seat.
I don't know what he would do.
But it's their right. It's their seat. They should be able to do that.
Mark says, so I'm kind of on both sides. As much as I don't like talking or inconveniencing strangers, it's really not that hard to ask if you can't do what you need to do without their compliance. For example, if somebody asked Len, he would be like, oh, I'm kind of tall on my knees. And, you know, maybe the person next to him would be like, oh, well, then let's switch. Why? Because you'll find that most people kind of want to accommodate each other.
Look at what Donna says.
Deborah
and then
says-
we'll end this. Go ahead.
No,
Look at what Donna
Deborah says, Brian,
Ah.
the guy using your seat to stand up, he's not thinking of you. He can get up by pushing off the arm of his own seat. Donna
No.
says, we fly to Jamaica. The only time we'd even think about reclining is when there's no one behind us.
That's
well, that's good.
what I do. Because why?
That's good.
Because I'm thinking about other people, and,
And
the people
so
behind
I'm
me
not going to hate
should get
on
as
the
much space as
person.
possible.
I'm not going to hate on the person that says the way I love my neighbor is by asking them individually. People do different strokes. You know what it is? Different strokes for different folks. That's what it is.
What is
There are
this?
different
A
ways
TV
to
show?
love. Deborah says sometimes it's right to ask things. Other times you don't really need to. Whatever you need to be considerate of others. Thank you. This is just like driving on the roads. Thank you. So if I notice that the person behind me is on the larger side or taller, I would probably not ask. I
You're
would
going to
probably
say, you seem big.
no. I
Can
would
I
probably think for myself
respect?
and say maybe I won't recline back. I don't have to ask him.
So you're going to turn around and size up the person behind you?
Sheila says, my dad is 6 feet. He just makes sure to get an aisle seat to get the extra leg room. That's cool.
But you can't always guarantee that.
Yeah.
I think the better move for the considerate believer is just to, unless there's nobody behind
Myrna.
you,
Yeah, Myrna.
don't lean back.
Myrna says, how is it rude? Those seats are so close together. You need help getting up sometimes in that right space. That's true.
So she's agreeing with me. I
I
understand
would
why the guy
feel
did that.
bad if there's a woman like Miss Neville's, and I don't know her. She's older than me. And I'm pulling on her seat. I would apologize. I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get up or something because I know it jerks the person back. So,
Would you wake them up to apologize if they're sleeping?
oh my gosh. Tim, the two of you are like brother and sister. You sure you aren't related? We look alike. Don't we
We
look
do.
like twins? Like,
I'm basically black. I mean,
oh my gosh.
what?
Martha, what are you laughing at? It's not funny. Martha says, well, yes, if my back is killing. Yeah. Like,
Don't recline.
wow.
Don't recline. Why? Think about the other person.
I
I
don't
want
tell
the person
people what to
behind
do.
me.
I trust your conscience, and if you say, I'm going to ask people because I may be uncomfortable, I'm not going to question your love for your neighbor. There are different ways to love our neighbor.
I want to consider the other person, like the Bible says, as more important than me. So I'm going to make sure the person behind me has as much room as possible.
That's awesome. You go do your thing.
I will,
Brian's
because it's
way.
Christian.
That's good.
Where's the verse that says, make sure to squeeze the person behind you?
Please.
Don't give them any space. Give them as little space as
Wow.
possible. Go ahead. What verse helps that?
Do you guys see this? I'm not even arguing.
I'm using
like,
the Bible.
Do it your way.
I'm using the
I'm
Bible.
considering Brian, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. Do it your way. I'm being considerate and loving. Gosh, can't believe.
Poor Len. How does he do this?
Oh my goodness. You
Len,
got
Len does not want people reclining their seats. I bet he doesn't
Roseanne?
recline his seat.
Roseanne says, I'm assuming that most people travel less than 3 hours and that they travel rarely. But if you've ever flown on 20 and 22-hour flights, there's no way you're not reclining your seat and sleeping. And those airlines have a smidge more legroom, but not that much. And somebody needs to recline at some point. And when we pay prime dollars for our seats, I think we all just should be thoughtful to each other. Thank you. And we're not certain. Ask. And if when you're not certain, ask. And if we do something that disturbs another person, apologize. It's really not that hard.
I
I
think
get I get it. It's
I
not that
think
hard.
that on
Talk to people.
I think that on domestic flights, you don't need an extra 2 inches of reclining. You can sit up for 2 to 4 hours.
Okay. Donna says, think about this. What happens when you have to use the bathroom? The seat in front is reclined and they are sleeping. No one thinks about others in a broader perspective.
Donna thinks about other people. Brian thinks about other people.
That's awesome. I engage other people and I ask them. Deborah says, seats were meant to recline. It's expected. But still be courteous in what you do and how you speak. Yeah. And you might make a friend. The person might be like, wow, thank you for asking. Why are you so nice? What an opportunity to be like, well, I love the Lord.
You're not doing that.
See that?
You're not doing that.
You just ask. Myrna agrees with you. Well, that's good. Sheila says so much.
Whoa. You're going to slide past
look,
that?
Sheila, look.
So much orneriness today. Yeah.
He gets back from like days off and he does this all the time.
I think you do not need to lean your seat back on any domestic flight ever. Sit up so the person behind you can be comfortable.
Okay.
Or worry all about yourself. I don't know who's doing that.
I ask the person.
I don't know who's doing that.
I ask the person. Deborah says, here, let's have reclining seats in church. You know what? So you're telling Miss Nevels, for example, she doesn't need to recline her seats?
Sit up for a few minutes.
Now it's a few minutes?
Yeah.
Some people are like
120
legit
minutes.
uncomfortable.
So I was uncomfortable too.
Wow.
No, and listen, no one's comfortable on an airplane. No one.
All I'm saying is,
Tim agrees with me. Donna agrees with me.
So all my point is, if you agree with him, then do it your way. Don't say everybody else.
And don't sit behind this
wrong.
one.
Then don't.
Because
That's
she's gonna
good.
lean
Then I can
back.
recline. That's good.
She's not worried about you.
Good.
She needs 2 inches.
That's right.
Wow. What are you gonna do now?
I don't even know what to tell y'all.
So you're gonna fly for less than an hour to Chicago. You're gonna lean back because you can. You're gonna ask somebody. You're gonna fly from here to.
Thank you, Scott. Oh, he is 6'4", taller than everybody up in here right now.
Wait a minute. I graduated high school with Scott Corson. What are you doing?
It honestly doesn't bother me when people recline. I generally don't, but don't care when people do it. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on.
I don't care when people recline.
Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
We went to high school together. I played at your house when I was a little boy.
Thank you, Scott. You are so
You're supposed to have
today.
my back, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. 6'4". It's okay, Donna. Y'all can disagree. All I'm saying is, y'all do your thing.
Scott
Myrna
Corson
says,
got tall since high school.
then buy a better seat.
Yeah, that's right. Why don't you just start buying better seats?
I do. I have a great seat.
I could see you doing that. Go, Len, kids, you're all in the back. I'm up here in front.
I do, actually. I would do that. Roseanne says, Janelle, don't let Brian win this argument because he's wrong. I love you, Roseanne. You my girl. Kathy says, my daughter's boyfriend is 7'1". He has to buy 2 tickets.
That's not fair.
Yeah, that's tall.
He probably buys the one in front of him.
Yeah.
Just so she doesn't show up.
Exactly.
I'd be fine because I'd leave it up.
Now, I think if something bothers you, tell people. And then if you want to make sure the other person is fine, you ask people. It's just about human relationships.
People are not going to be honest in America. If you say, do you mind if I lean my seat back? They're going to be like, oh, okay. And then they're going to be annoyed.
That hasn't been my experience. I've asked people things.
So you know when they're being honest with you. You can tell. There's like a radar where you know they're being honest.
So then basically don't ask people about anything. Just assume all the time.
No.
Tim says, doesn't it depend on the time? The early flights probably deal with the reclining and sleeping versus the later ones. No, he makes blanket rules all the time.
No.
Asada says, I recline on every flight. Thank you.
And guess what I do on every domestic flight? I don't recline.
Deborah says, life is not fair.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know.
And it's true. What are you going to tell Tim? 3 a.m. You don't think people are reclining? You wouldn't recline?
You never fallen asleep sitting up before?
Thank you. Donna says, pick your battles. Amen. Like, why is this even a battle? I don't understand.
Good point, Janelle.
Just
why are you
do
fighting
it
about this?
your way.
Just leave your seat up.
And trust people's conscience.
Why are you making this a fight? Why are you making this a conversation?
Oh my gosh, guys.
Just sit up.
Oh my god.
Sit up.
Wow. So you're saying there wouldn't be a fight if you agree with me?
Nobody would have any problems if nobody reclined their seat.
Very Christian. Mitch says, really depends on the airplane. Sometimes my knees are touching the seat in front. On other planes, it's not a problem. True. We said that, but Brian disagrees. When it's really tight, there's no way anybody reclines politely. No, that's fine. So then you ask.
No, so you just don't recline. You just go, you go, wow, it sure is tight.
I have never been on a plane where it's bothered me that the other person reclines.
Because you're little.
Ever.
Look at you.
I'm not little. I'm not little.
Tiny. So
I'm average.
So the thing is what that means then is on any domestic flight, it's tight. You know it is. They cram people in there. Don't recline. You don't need to. Sit up for a few hours, and when you get off the plane, go ahead and lay down on the ground in the airport. If you
Really, what I want to say is, don't tell me what to do. Really.
Wow.
Adrian says, if I ask and they say okay, then why shouldn't I recline? Because he's saying they're not going to tell the truth.
They're not.
Tim says, and now you see why there's first class or business class. Yeah.
A good ending note. Philippians 2:3. In humility, value others above yourselves. So don't recline. Right, Janelle?
Okay.
Or wait, value yourself above others, Janelle?
No,
Is
love others. When you love others, you love the individual and you ask them and you engage with them. Get to know them. It's not that hard.
Sacrifice
it's real
for your
simple.
neighbor.
Look, a couple minutes. Do you mind if I recline just for a few minutes?
Sacrifice for your neighbor.
Not that hard. Damaris, I got a window seat once when flying home from California. 2 men got the middle and aisle seats. They fell asleep and leaned over on me. It was very hot in the plane as well. I kept pushing them over to no avail. Finally, I said, excuse me, I'm not feeling well and I need to get out. It worked. Yeah.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Not to change the subject, Teresa says, but in a store, my husband will walk around instead of saying, excuse me, to walk through. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. I'll go around. I don't need to bother somebody.
Well, that's good.
Maybe they need to be where they are.
Well, that's great.
You're just causing fights.
No, I'm making friends.
Making people feel bad.
Making friends.
Making friends.
Yeah.
What's the name of the last friend you made in an airplane? Go.
Whatever.
Oh, that you say that when there's not. Go ahead. What's the name of the last person?
No,
you
I'm
made
like
friends
my
with in an
kids.
airplane?
They get in the car after a park
I've made
and
no friends
make
on airplanes.
best friends, and I'll be like, oh, so what's their name? I don't know.
I've made no friends on airplanes. How about
I
you?
have.
So when's
She
the last time
lives
you spent time
in
with someone that
Arizona. She actually talked to me and Lynn, and she was talking about she's still working on becoming a citizen. Thank you. I talk to people.
doesn't know her name, hasn't seen her
I
since.
talk to people. Thank you.
Doesn't know her name, hasn't seen her since.
Oh my goodness, y'all don't want to see all this.
Is that true?
Say bye.
What's her name?
I forgot,
You seen her since?
but I still engaged her.
You seen her since?
It doesn't matter. No, she lives in Arizona.
So you don't know her name and you haven't seen her since.
She
Not a
lives
friend.
in Arizona.
Not a friend. Wow, it's amazing to be right.
Wow.
And I'm still disappointed in you, Scott Corson.
Oh my goodness.
All right, we got to go.
Wow.
People, we will see you tomorrow, I suppose.
Yes.
Another chance for Janelle to get it all wrong.
In an airline emergency, I want to be sitting with Janelle. Yeah, Roseanne.
Actually, you want to be
my
with me?
friend.
Because I'm ready to get up. My seat's not reclined. I'm ready to get up.
Donna says, I've made many friends without reclining. Deborah, we must carry the light
Me
and
too.
behave worthy of who we are.
Yeah. Just sit up. You're not that important. Don't lean back.